Hello, species value nature system. Hello, YouTube. Hello, everybody. All platforms. All people. Me Too movement. The great part about the Me Too movement is the freedom of, of sensibilities recorded in a trap that is exploiting each position in reception of fact treatment nature, formal, private, in areas maintained, in relationship to areas maintained originally and recorded still criminally foreign influenced, formal science, fact treatment nature, and reliances upon those naive fact treatment natures and experts and takes on experience to spots in relationship to the industry of government, abridged, incapable of defending that in the law, fact treatment nature that has the ability right away, or that so without trapped in other words, we have on-off campuses, evidence reception racket, consciously maintaining the nature of positions and stuff like that, facilitated preemptively to cover up future lie progressions, and as one's already areas and states of all modern nations already needing to cover up lie progressions, physical delusions, recorded within as the value of premises treatments systemically through generations, not let demonstrated ill and exploited ill, like when they say what slavery was about. It was not about prejudice. It was worse than prejudice. So when you call it prejudice, then it's hiding behind the opinions. Then it's hiding behind opinions that are still criminally foreign influence science, not real fact treatment nature. Then everyone's justifications of that, as tools. The Constitution abridged. That's why there's no science ever reached out to areas maintained, forced by colonizations, forced. The impositions on women are also directly tied to how we were in a tactically denatured relationship to nature, which are means. All the means for water and stuff they put under the ground. They tie it to natures of energy and pollution and all natures of defense needs that are also simultaneously preventing the real best defense needs, which is to save our negative value nature progression that all modern nations share the cause of. And as fake sides, fake difference, commonly, non-distinctly and distinctly, purposely, methodically to stay fake sides, fluent through all of them, unrealizing that the whole agenda is fact treatment nature. Not per money, not per control fact treatment nature, relationship to database, space and nature. First they forced everyone tactically denatured relationship to nature, to means. Forced, juxtaposed with their ulterior from actual value nature system. Whole time and no one understanding what they're trying to do. While they know they're dividing and conquer. That's only one part of the whole thing, is to understand evidence reception, natures of all modern nations, even kings and queens, even pharaohs, Oz. Forced, tricked, as all modern nations, hurt. Forced to have areas and states in collusion with other nations. Opinion natures, knave, hurtful. Forgiveness was this for this. Forcing the president not to be able to even demonstrate. When President Trump said about Haiti being no good, which was in the background conversation they put as a punk out to play, because so they could do that trick and keep the conversation shut down. No voice for Haiti. Someone he was like, my whole life I wanted someone to admit we had no science here. And then what? The guy goes, my blood, my eyes are blood. Must scared the hell out of the president. The guy in Congress with those passions. Dishonest. But you can't defend anything from that because it's attached to areas in the state's opinion natures, criminally foreign influence, worse than never had free education. Free, liberated. I don't even mean like free money-wise. I mean, we have criminally foreign influence sciences distinctly and together, especially regarding the law, criminal justice. Can't defend their convictions in us at the same time. Can't defend their premise treatments at us at the same time. Can't defend their sequence treatments at us at the same time. So they have to cover that with lie progression, cover up needs and natures already self-cultivated to roles with as the base, already propagated as this before our nation, our founders' births. They stole our history. They have it with knowledge of evidence treatment, who knows the most facts, to take away the simple correlation it is. Take away Marbury versus Madison. True justice must satisfy all appearances of true justice. And that means don't fake it. See, but we have fakes, and we have them recorded, raised to roles reliant on them. And evidences treatments past reliant on it, because how they were raised. Like with the DMV families. Two Corona brothers, recorded and confessed, involved with evidence reception rackets and crime method tricks, illusions. Try to make it hard for people to talk about things by attaching people to fake conversations and fake relationships to complete strangers and people you only know through them being directed to on and off the record evidence reception, illusion crime roles. Then with and as each of ties to progressive campus crimes with people in my classes. I never had a class with them. One time, I were already recorded and confessed involved with that database illusion stacking. Him and Eric Jensen and his brother Justin Klavinskis. I never tried to contact him in my life. Recorded and confessed him and his wife with crimes, with drugs with kids, with doctors, with MPs, with crimes with kids. With courts tied to those doctors, those programs with crime methods with courts. This is the problem with Me Too movement. The concept, see, it's not all sexual. The problem is a simultaneous violence problem and pseudo care problem. In other words, we have men and women that are supposed to be experts on helping people. And weird as and how they are experts in physics and what they're handed, they're handed also reliance upon other experts at the same time. In other words, everyone's relying, all those positions, including those positions, are forced to rely on other people's fact treatments. They're supposed to be other experts. They're not letting the database illusion stacking tied to the problem demonstrated. The evidence is reception rackets off that, because they need to cover lie progressions. What they do is by facilitating evidence reception context where everyone only understands that they're just following the directions the way the investigators with the police and with the media are telling them to do. And then, but see, that's why they had to fake both sides of news, attach me to fake both sides of news, fake conversations with them, and then sequence shifting, needing to pretend that when I say that I already tried to communicate, they heard me. That was after they wrote both fake sides of story with me, with interbranch actors recorded and confessed, with crimes with child sex offenders. Before that, and tied to it, they tortured me, recorded it. They put me in prison with wire crime sequence shifts to hide Wethersfield police, recorded online rape threat rolls. Intercity ones tied to that. There's an officer, they said his name, Hunter, attached to Emily or Amy, switched their name. Also recorded and confessed involved with the court with that day with him. When we were out here, he gave me a ticket for a loud radio. This guy also like sexually harassing me on the thing too. What was gonna force the dogs in my car, forced himself to search my car, or you know, they were gonna bad. He was calling other people, forcing me outside my car. Bad people. And that guy was also, I think it's the same exact guy tied to Farmington Avenue. John Mayano told me, recorded and confessed, directed to more evidence fabrication roles, and with ties to people with that area, with the police forms and stuff like that, with evidence crime rackets. In other words, with evidence reception that's set up to maintain. Then when that's when they're maintaining investigations, recorded and maintaining them, facilitated the drug opioid crime, facilitated specifically for evidences rackets that are exploiting how each person's supposed to deal with people the way they're told to, and rely on the other experts. And there's indifference to exploitations of that, which are part of the problem there. That is also recorded tied to their live progression cover-up needs on campuses and intercampus through time, per how they are facilitated and maintained criminally foreign influence with things like criminal justice, shared police on and off campuses with training at spots. Demonstrably. Per recorded and known and further discernible through correlation in relationship to their federal crime acts and methods. They're not trying to hide means and methods. They're trying to hide crime acts and methods and roles with a breaching method that has the Constitution abridged originally since before our founders' births. And still, because they were still entrenched. That's why George Washington had to meet in this town to sleep, right, which is Hartford too, next to Trinity College, with slavery still entrenched in Hartford, in New York, in the North, before the Civil, and all those databases, relationships to it, are recorded and involved within as a breaching organized crime entrenchment method, and roles and natures as that. With that, I'm not a lawyer, as not a criminal. We're going to treat it as an organized crime. That's what we're going to talk about with the Burroughs book in the Hartford Nook. How fast can someone look? Well, a book will stand. North Korea. Please free their land. All the nations are facilitated there. We could ease that by making an agreement with North Korea to monetize. We can get the money. Where do we get the money if we don't have a territory? We can get the money by just even with the nations are right there. We could do like some kind of event, like, you know what I'm saying. Even and we can make that. We can make a supplement bricks of a quality that people can't afford otherwise. We could supplement labor. People don't want to go to war and die. We have people that are getting paid anyways, military. We can set up a system that does everything. That, in other words, we can take off more than ease tension. We can bring back a means. In other words, as a means, knowing that we're going to make it, we're going to leverage more and more to evolve, to get out of our trap. We're the only thing we end up fighting about is positive nature of fighting, because it's just going to make evolution happen, which is fighting not against each other. Evolution will never happen. This system, the ancients revealed. We are valued. We are only we have the identity and the nature of the progression of positive demonstrated to us by a perfect system that is ulterior than these market positions were our force tactically ulterior from methodically to play methodically perpetually with everyone not understanding as predatory litigation nature justifications of that raised within as simultaneously terror, torture, aggression, pseudo care, criminal decisions nature, indifference, exploitations of that, overt and six that progress from it. Victim predators. That's where we have formal victims behind the gun problems. And it's within as a crime method against each age of fact treatment nature. We have women and men recorded in collusion exploiting how they have to react with the people involved with caring for the victims of rapes and things like that, sexual harassment. We have them recorded and involved with rackets where they where they're covering up live aggressions tied to rackets where they're forced to rely on other natures of investigators for other natures of crime juxtaposed. It is recorded that's why the courts are so scary and so hurtful. And the prisons. They're also recorded raised victim predators needed to cover live progressions tied to evidence reception rackets maintained original progress means to maintain everybody awes, tooled knaves. Reaction to what really was facilitating the motivations, really and actors really facilitating the overt criminal enterprises here and there and everywhere. But the opioid crisis is tied to their roles with crime methods, with courts, reliant upon pretending that there's medical information, reliant upon not letting anybody speak, and attaching and having nature still attaching innocent people to fake words, fake sequences, just slamming them in jail, and only promoting criminal insidiousness nature, pseudo-positive, pretending those are opinions, criminally foreign influencing opinions, pretending to be against that. We have the investigators with the media, recorded incapable also of doing anything but being indifferent to or exploiting the criminality with their investigators. So each type of job is forced to rely on other experts. See, no one's being allowed to deal with proper premise treatments and correlations means alone. They're forcing people to speak through and with their family members, and if they speak alone, they're forcing them attached to fake conversations, lies, sequence shifts, crime roles, and then cover-ups of that, directing people that don't even know the people. They're using the Facebook page of Weathersfield Police Department to hurt men and women, investigators, people sick with courts, with fact treatments, recorded. Please, Miss Ginsburg, Your Honor, I beg you allow me to demonstrate that they cannot deal with sequence and with crime acts that I'm talking about without lying, without tricks. And it shows that there are police recorded, pretending things are recorded, systemically with my police department and with other police forms and their family members recorded involved. For example, motivated to it with Facebook crimes. Also facilitated, motivated to it through the recorded and confessed crime roles with evidence receptions that were using the bodies and kids involved with that criminally, and it was criminally exploited. Now, in the future, an ongoing preventing me means to counter this, because it's too many natures of crime, and they juxtapose too many natures of crime methods, and actors per method motivating more and more actors to slander people behind the background, whereas the only investigators in the branch already know they have life progression, cover up natures and needs, relation and crime acts that they need to hide in relationship to people like me. So they just ignore it, and everyone does, because everyone's already stayed roles, blaming it on others. And that's an indifference, being offensively multi-front against correlation nature, sick with aggression, all kinds, and sick with fake care, all kinds. It has men and women making opinions into naive time context, sequence shifting, database racket nature courts. Especially with the kids ones, real quick, they know that they're experts, especially the ones who are also investigators, are sick natures. They're recorded degenerates, originally and still, religion fail, who'll train, betrayal tribes. Campus lies too long, and lies. So please tell Her Honor Ginsburg. So, because it's important, the Me Too movement. She says it's important. And I understand it's important. We have to free the nature that hurts not one, but that is free, to counter where, if your foot's getting stepped on, if you're getting raped, you're getting sexually harassed, you'd be able to do it. But we also have to record the crime method. The crime method, where they're using the women and the men needed to cover up sick things with databases, with roles with interbranch actors, offensively with offensive crimes with evidence receptions to database illusion stack tied to progressive needs from that, tied to the roles with crimes with each age of fact treatment nature, tricks with campuses, interclasses, where they know you don't know each other's names. That's recorded, tied to a crime method where they sabotage people's fact treatment nature with tricks with their own kids, with the doctors, with drug clicks tied to them. They attach people to fake conversations themselves. They tell the media to pretend they had relationships with doctors that they never were, mental diagnoses that they never were. Little kids and adults. And all kinds of shared internation psychology corruption tied to courts and prisons and into intercampuses, and the training, relationship to experts, inter-expert phenomena that's exploited phenomena. So their motivations are often have nothing to do with sexual motivations, but their needs to force a reaction where those experts are forced to react the way they're trained. Not just by the way they're trained, but by the systems forced individual ill fact treatment, premise treatment nature. And they already did that so long and had life progression cover-up needs facilitated before they were even, because they were constantly dealing with investigators, people with DCF, people with the courts, people with, now this is only unofficially, but it's also official recorded how they were involved with intercampus crimes with kids, how they were motivated to it, crimes with criminal justice cliques, with the areas, with their criminals before they come in there, how facilitated to that, how with the internation families shared through campuses, how everyone gets involved, even the family members of judges, and because they were everybody victim predators blaming on others as tools by the method, keeping everyone self-cultivated to roles as a base propagated, not being able to discern this, or even, the database organized crime. The fact treatment, interscience areas maintain organized crime method, recorded involved at the time with our founders recorded fact treatment nature slavery. Recorded, simultaneously not let demonstrated with fake passions that are recorded aggression, formal, and simultaneous fake care. Because our course is very simple, James Madison. And the sabotager of correlation nature and of premises treatments proper. We have psychology recorded, engineered, specifically to be leaned upon by victim-predator branches. That was the original motivations. This is a breaching method that knew every modern nation was going to blame this on others. One theory is that there was a organized crime and then method that was intercultural people. They were doing an internation organized crime method in ancient times, right? As will cause semi-ancient times to be distinct, because they realized they were going to get caught, and so to cover it up, they did something that caused a progression. They had to keep covering it up, and then they ended up realizing they would need to take down the mountain in Egypt. There was in Egypt, somewhere in the Sahara, there was a mountain probably, and they took that down, knowing that it would, because when you bring a mountain high enough, you know how there's snow at the top of the mountain, it brings a condensation. Everything starts breaking down, saturates the soil. You start having drip. You have rivers, etc.